Hi, I'm Vicki Mackey with the Vergers Guild Nomination Committee, and I'm here with Michael Sanchez, who is our final candidate and that is running for the board of directors in September. Good morning, Michael, and welcome.
Good morning, Vicky. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Michael, if you will, please let us know where you are from and what church you serve in as a verger.
Sure. So I'm in Southwest Washington, in Vancouver, Washington, and near the Portland metro area. And I actually serve at a church, Christ Church Episcopal Parish in Lake Oswego, which is a suburb of Portland, Oregon. So it's all kind of in that same geographical area.
All right, thank you. Well, let's get started by asking you a few questions so that we can get to know you a little better as a verger.
Sure.
Our first question is, in this ever-changing world in which we live in, how has your duties as verger changed since COVID?
Well, I think like most folks, we did the Zoom services for quite some time, um, and it took me a little while to find my footing in that context because what had happened was the clergy and the office staff, they kind of took control of that part of the worship experience. So I wasn't out of a job, but I was no longer a direct participant in worship like I was. But as we kind of figured our way out through the pandemic, I'm also a teacher, and so I got real good real fast about Zoom and learning how to make share screens and do all that. So it just sort of happened that I took over those weekly, broadcasting responsibilities. So I ended up doing that for the rest of our time that we were online. And then as we moved back, my role morphed a little bit closer back to what it was before the pandemic.
Great. Our second question is, how would you go about getting more vergers to be active in the guild, and how do you see them serving?
I think this takes a couple of you need to take a couple of different approaches to this. So the first one is you have to energize the folks that you already have. And as Episcopalians, we're not great on evangelism. We don't do that real well, and I'm counting myself as part of that.
Mhm.
But I think one of the things that we do have to do is show how we can help, and that's kind of my unofficial motto at the church. How can I help? If it doesn't matter if I've done it a million times or have never done it. That's in my own ministry. That's what I like to do, and I want people to see me as someone who is there to help. And I think if as individual vergers in our own circumstances, if we can be those people who want to help, we're already doing a huge job in saying, hey, that's a verger, they help. And folks will look at that and start to make those connections. The other thing that I think we can do is continue to make our presence as a guild known at local, regional, and national, and even international events. Our diocesan conferences, that sort of thing, and really be strategic about how we present ourselves as the helpers. Our job is to make your job easier. It's not to make things difficult for you as the rector, priest in charge, bishop, whatever that, whoever you are helping. So I think to get more vergers, we have to excite our own vergers to evangelize, and then we as an organization have to continue our work of saying this is what we can do and this is how we can help.
Would you consider the verger's role as managerial or leadership, and why?
I'm gonna say both, Vicky, because I do see two really there's a lot of overlap there, but there's also some very distinct differences. So when we're looking at managerial and leadership, people in both those roles look up to managers. They look up to leadership as folks that can provide guidance and answers and clarity. Um, so in instances like that, I think a verger can be both. I think where they're different is sometimes leadership tends to be really high level, strategic, sort of looking over the whole organization. I don't necessarily see vergers doing that. That's the job of the clergy. But what I do see vergers doing is managing. So being that, a few notches down from that clergy and helping implement the procedures and the practices and the customs that the clergy wants. So they may not, those I'm losing my words here, Vicky. Those things
Okay.
that the clergy wants, they don't come from us, right?
Yeah.
They don't necessarily come from our brains, but we're there to help execute them and make sure that they're done to the best of the abilities of the folks that are serving.
Yes. No problem, Michael. I fully understand. Okay. Our final question is, it's 7:45 a.m. and all is ready for the service, and it starts in about 15 minutes. However, there is no clergy. How would you respond?
So the first thing I would have done is at 7:30 and there's still no clergy, I'm texting, right? I'm texting and seeing, not only the clergy, but maybe office staff, some of the other staff, and saying what's going on. If it turns out that no one knows where our clergy is, um, you know, uh, we need to count on not having a Eucharist. We need to count on getting our red books out, and we're going to be doing morning prayer. And I'm going to be opening that up and refreshing on morning prayer and seeing what we can be doing. So by the time we get to that 7:45, I've already been looking through that, and we're just letting folks know, we will be having a service. It'll just be a morning prayer service. Um, but I think that goes to show, as vergers, we do need to be really, really flexible. Um, and you're not expected to know everything and to learn everything right away. But I think one of the things that we should do is be able to stand in for one of the daily offices, in the case that clergy isn't able to be there.
Yeah.
And of course, this is all predicated on, hopefully nothing bad has happened to the clergy. Maybe they're just not feeling well or got stuck in traffic or something like that. But apart from just getting morning prayer going, it would be I think it would also be a fun memory to have about how we had a pinch hit and see what we could do without the clergy. So, yeah, that's probably what I would do.
Well, thank you, Michael, and thank you for your commitment to run again for the board. Thank you also to our viewers for watching our interviews of the candidates. We will be sharing and posting more information in the days ahead about the conference and the election process for the board. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord.